Welcome back to Project GoodSpeed, guys. On today's video, we are going to be restoring the Civic's interior. And we're gonna start with the sun visors for the little hatchback here. I have been in the process of trying to restore the entire interior, and I kind of got carried away before I decided to start this little mini series. So part of the reason I got carried away is because I didn't actually plan on finding a bunch of these interior stuff in time, but I was able to go to the junkyard on a little research project a few weeks back, and yeah, I managed to find all of it. So thankfully I can now move forward, and today we're going to start with the sun visors, which in classic Project GoodSpeed fashion is going to start at the junkyard. This is week 3 and it's still here. Yeah, it's probably not worth that. You know what? I think it's because of pop-up headlights. I was here last week, the week before that, and unfortunately I couldn't get the dash. In my overzealousness and the eagerness to get a dashboard, I neglected to look that it does not have an airbag. So, man, I feel stupid as fuck. This whole time I've been preparing this dashboard to take it, but it doesn't have a fucking airbag. No. Oh well, maybe somebody will have better luck. I did the work for them. Today I'm here for a real quick pit stop because the sun visors I picked out, they don't fit, but these 5th gen ones or 6th gen Civics are, so I gotta find this. All right, this doesn't bode well. This is only the 2nd Civic, but no visor. Oh shit. Fuck. Section 25, I got 1 visor. Bad condition, but that'll do. We are at the end of the line. And this has no visors either. See that? Look at that. Nothing. There's one more. And it's all taped up. I was able to find, obviously, these kick-ass Honda Civic switches for power doors. And this one from one Civic, this one from another. Unfortunately, this one's busted here, see? That's gonna be a little challenging to remove and repair without breaking, seeing as how it's already broken, and I don't have another one because obviously there are no more. So I'm just gonna take one for now and see if I can restore it, see if it fits, see if it works, and then worry about doing it on the 2nd one later. So now it is in a 5th gen Civic, and I've kind of confirmed that it does sort of fit, you know, not exactly right, but the holes and the screws align perfectly and the molding fits. The only thing, I probably should take this from the 6th gen as well. Either way though, it might not fit in my hatchback because there's no hatchback in here for me to check for the fitment, but I'm gonna go ahead and just take this one and then we'll worry about the other one later. So I actually started this project last night, and I thought I may be able to finish it all in one night, and I was wrong. But the goal here is to replace the headliner into something that's brand new and, more importantly, just dark in color, black, really. And I can't really modify this because it doesn't have anything to take off. It's basically all one piece, so I either have to completely destroy it and find a way to replace it. I did rip apart the already broken sun visor here, and this is all that's inside there. Metal wires, foam padding, and get this, cardboard internals. 30-year-old cardboard. Well, the other alternative is to go to the junkyard and find something that resembles it that can be modified, which is what I did in my initial attempt, and that didn't work out so well because I actually broke that piece. I didn't do it right. I thought I was as simple as, you know, just popping it open. Clearly that's not the case. You guys can see these 3 holes here, right? Well, 1, 2, 3 is where these 1, 2, 3 pieces are stuck. So you gotta be very careful if you're doing this. Each one of these costs 15 bucks at the junkyard. So I paid a total, I think, well, 14. I think it was a total of 28 or 30 bucks for both of these. And mind you, one of them didn't have a mirror, thanks to my dumbass. And now I broke one thanks to, you know, popping it open. Of course, then you gotta buy the fabric here, right? So that costs some money. I was able to buy this particular piece of fabric, which is 1 foot wide by however long this is. Tócale, tosh, 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 tosh. Feels nice. Of course, you know, you got to take into account the time it takes you to do this. That That's always something you never really think about. Of course, you learn a new trade or new craft, right? And it's always worth it, at least in my eyes, which is why I'm going to be doing that anyway. 1 foot is not enough. You need at least 2 for a complete wraparound, because see, this opens up this way, and you need to be able to cover the whole length of the sun visor, which I clearly did not. And I can't even do it this way either, because, you know, obviously it's not long enough this way either. Now, I still do have some options, because I also have some fabric left over from my sun visor. And this material is plenty big for both of them. But I was able to pick up these. Check it out. These are supposed to be a, you know, direct OEM replacement for the little hatchback here. And it's not bad. This is the passenger one, and this is the driver one, and this one has a little strap. See? So I can, you know, put the registration here. And it's pretty much a direct replacement. Look at this. It's even a little shorter, which is, you know, not bad, because it doesn't need to be this long, really. I mean, I don't even know what this thing is for. As long as the attachment parts line up and the, you know, bolt parts line up. That's all that matters. Damn, I paid a lot more than I remembered. So these were $59 plus, you know, shipping. Look at them. Here we go. Black vinyl with fabric. I think it's a good combination, plus the map light, right? Oh no, it goes here. I'm gonna have to paint that black as well. Now, obviously, you guys can do whatever you want. You know, buy a new fabric material, figure out that on your own, right? And sometimes that is the best way, at least to me, because now I have all this stuff that I, you know, can use. But sometimes buying the new stuff might not be a bad idea. So I basically purchased these before I even got started, just because I wanted to see what they would look like, and I wanted to hedge my bets, right, in case I messed up my, you know, modification, which I did. So they are my safety net in case I ruin whatever I plan to do to the sun visors today, which is the one I tried to modify last night, and that one is right here. Look at that. We have plastic. This is like some wood slash really thick cardboard backing maybe, and obviously this just falling apart headliner, which I'm going to be replacing. Oh man, this is just like going everywhere. I need to get a vacuum. I'm wearing a mask, so if you guys hear me muffled, that's why. These little particles are annoying, man. Okay, time to take off the mirror here without breaking it. You gotta push up on the clip and then slide the mirror back. But the mirror itself has its own clips, and these clips are just like, it's like they stuck pieces of plastic through them and then just melted the top so that it got a ball instead of a hole. You know, damn it. So now I'm gonna have to break these. I was trying to avoid another broken plastic piece. Oh, you've got to be shitting. I broke it. That's not the right breaking that I was planning on doing. Okay. Maybe if I break these ends. And let's see if I can remove it now. Yeah. My bad. And the glass. Careful with that. Now, we just gotta separate this whole material so we have a nice clean surface. You know, this is where that razor blade scraper would come in handy, but I melted mine when I was removing the window tinting on my hatchback. But, you know, we deal with what we got. Doing the headliner like this was not even close to this easy. I spent hours on that thing. All that's left is to glue whatever fabric I decide onto this. One thing, you want to make sure you label which side is the closed side and which side is the, you know, material side. I almost glued this backwards. The smooth side should be closed. Rough side is where everything gets glued down. And we have just enough material to glue this thing together. So let's do this. Alrighty then. No. That's pretty much it. Look at that. Not the best job in the world, but I don't see many mistakes, at least compared to my first attempt. The only thing I would change is probably just leave a little bit more fabric on this end here. It's very difficult to get glue in there. You guys can see it's just pretty much stuck on this metal piece, but I can just scrape that off. It's not a big deal. I'm gonna put this back together before I paint it tomorrow morning. Maybe that'll be enough time for the glue to set. This is the 6th gen Civic, whereas mine is the 5th gen, the EG hatch, and these are from the EK Civics, and these are just held on by glue. There are really no clips other than the mirror, which is currently being painted. I just have to, let it dry for the first coat, and I can go ahead and install this back in here. Now, if I do say so myself, this is a very identical piece, and it doesn't look that bad. The only thing I did mess up on is, like I said, I did this last night, and I didn't pay too much attention to the lines. I don't know if you guys can see them. They are going a little bit down. I should have paid more attention to keep them straight. But, it's fine. It's fine. Look, it looks black. You can't even tell, right? I'm not going to paint this today. I don't have enough time. I barely have enough time to put this together. Seeing as how this is my first attempt, I gotta say it's not that bad. The only thing I would recommend is these relief cuts need to be done numerously, right? Look at this. I had basically every corner, every edge had like 4 relief cuts, is where you guys can see there's this 1 corner, 2, 3, and 4. Whereas this side over here basically only had 1, 2, right? And you can see it bulges out. The only thing I have to wait on is for the mirror material to finish drying, and we can go ahead and just install it back in here. The only thing I have to do is basically cut off 2 slits here so that I can install the clips that hold the mirror bracket in place, and then we can go ahead and call it. Hopefully it turns out well, and hopefully you guys like it. And check it out. Look, the paint job, and not that great. I mean, from this angle, look, it just looks a little dirty. That'll buff out, not a problem. And look at that, just a little dirty. But if you get close to it, you can see it kind of is cracking down at the bottom, wrinkles. The only thing left to do now is, I've already installed it. Check it out. We got mirror. Not the best sound, but then again, it is just plastic rubbing on metal, so what can you do? So I'm going to go ahead and glue these little holes here first while I press down firmly for maybe a couple minutes, and then I will close the entire thing in on itself, and then I will paint this in the morning. I should have just enough paint left to do the last finishing touches, and I will show you everything in the morning when I'm done. I might have gotten a little overboard. Let me see. Yep, a little overboard. And that's it. I just got to put something really heavy to keep this closed for the next 24 hours. Here's my griddle. We will check back in the morning. Let's see. Okay. First tip. Oh, dude. No, that's not good. Little corner here. Some of it must have seeped through. See, I knew this piece was gonna be the problem here. Maybe not pry. All right. Damn it. See, yeah, I put too much glue here. Look at this. Oh boy. That's on me. Egg on my face. But oh shit, and it broke. Look, it's not perfect. All right, it's not. Let's move on. So here is the finished product. As you guys can see, look, I've painted a little piece black. Everything is back to, pretty much OEM plus. And you can see the seams here, check it out. They're not that bad. There's a few high spots. Like I said, I messed up on the relief cuts, so you will see that. And the paint is cracking a little. I think that's probably due to my lack of planning and impatience, whatever. This is probably not going to be the final attempt at me doing this. This is really just to see if I could really. And not to mention, I don't have a driver's one, right? This is the passenger only. I couldn't find the driver's one. So here are some tips that I kind of, I'm probably going to take into account for the future. One, don't do this at night. You see these little glue things here. So my mistake was when I was gluing the whole thing shut, I saw the 2 holes that this little clip is supposed to fit into, and I assumed that it was blocked off on this end and only carved out on the inside, right? So when I put glue in there, it just seeped straight through. And you can see also on the top here, it seeped on this corner here where there is no, it's just a seam. It's not really cardboard on there. So another thing too is the mirror, which is pretty much the majority of the mistakes here is going to be on the mirror. This plastic is really difficult to work with. Let me show you guys. The hinges here are very tough to get into place, and the metal is really, really stiff, so I can't really push it and get the lid in place because this lid here itself is not really fastened down the way it's supposed to. It was initially fastened down with plastic that I had to break off, so it's not entirely sitting all the way down at the bottom, which means when I push the metal piece up to allow the lid to slide into place, it moves the whole thing up with it. So I had to actually kind of like bend the metal clips out. So what that means is it's kind of crooked. You see, it's supposed to be holding on to the lid a lot tighter, but because I can't get it in there when it's closed, I had to open it up and it's a lot looser. So with all that being said, with all the mistakes that I did, like, putting the glue a little too much in the wrong spot, breaking some of the plastic, and applying the paint a little overzealously, I think this is a solid C-. Passable, right? You can go on. You might not notice it unless you're really focusing on it too much, or if you break my mirror. But I think I'm gonna give it another go. I think with the next one, I'm probably gonna find some way to buy the right material, because I also have to buy another set of sun visors. Stay tuned for that video, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up because, I'm sick and tired of looking at my mistakes. That was a careless mistake. All right. Until next time, guys. Take care and Goodspeed.